Hi, welcome to this jewelry making tutorial. In this tutorial I will show you how to create a necklace and a pendant using metal beads, a pyrite bead, different other beads. I will use these small golden beads, a bead cap. And to make the necklace I will also need some findings and some tools. If you're ready, let's begin. First of all, we shall talk about what we need in order to create this necklace with pendant. So as I've just told you, we shall need some findings in order to connect our beads and also some tools. So we shall need some findings to create the pendant and other findings to create the necklace. For the necklace, I will use some black nylon cord. I have chosen this thin nylon cord. And I will need some fold-over cord ends for the necklace, some jump rings, and lobster claw clasp in order to close and open the necklace. For the pendant, I will need this head pin, and I will also use this snap-on bail. As tools, I will need pliers. These are the chain nose pliers, and you can recognize them because they are pointed here and because their surface is lacking any teeth. So as you can see, the surface is very smooth without teeth, so that it does not scratch our findings. I will also need a jump ring opener for the jump rings. And to make the pendant, we shall need these two pliers, the cutting pliers and the round nose pliers. The cutting pliers, as the name implies, are used for cutting metal and the wire of our pin. And the round nose pliers, because they are rounded here, they are used to create the loops. So we shall create the loop of our pendant. For the nylon string, I shall also use, if necessary, I shall use a pair of scissors and a lighter. In order to measure the length of our yarn, we can use a measuring tape. And now let's begin making our necklace with pendant. Let's begin with the pendant. So I will take first of all our head pin. As you can see, the head pin has this part here which looks like the end of a nail, and it stops the beads from sliding out of our pin. So I shall put the first bead on the head pin, and as you can see, it stops at the point where you have the end of the head pin, like this. And now I will add a bead cap, like this. I will add the pyrite bead. So this is a natural bead, a gemstone. Then I will add the metal bead, like this, and I will add another small bead to mark the end of the pendant. And now I have this part here. Let's see from a closer distance. This is where we have to make a loop. In order to make a loop, the first step will be to bend this wire of the head pin. So whenever you bend this wire, you must not bend it precisely above the last bead, because you risk to break this bead, especially if it is a small bead, if it is made of a gemstone or of plastic or glass. These beads can break easily if you do not let some space between the bead and the place where you bend. So I will let about 1 millimeter of space until the point where I bend the pin, and I will grab. As you can see, I have left 1 millimeter of space here, and I will bend the pin like this with the pliers, like this. So I bend the pin to 90 degrees like this, and now I will measure so that our pin is not too long when I create the loop. I will grab the tip of the pin and cut a little bit of this tip with the cutting pliers, like this. And now let's make the loop. In order to make the loop, I will take the round nose pliers, grab the tip of the pin and start rolling around the rounded tip of my round nose plier. So as you can see, I will roll this way until I have created this loop, like this. And now my pendant has a loop here. This way. Now I will take the bail and open it like this. As you can see, I have opened the bail. I will put the pendant on the bail and I will close it like this. And the pendant is ready. And now let's create the necklace. So I have these two ends of my string of the cord, and I will create a small knot here, exactly at the end of the cord. This way. And I will take the fold over cord end and fold it over the knot and the cord. Like this. So as you can see, I am pressing on the fold over cord end, and especially on the lower part under the knot, so that it does not allow the knot to slide out like this. So the most important thing is to press on the lower part here, so that the knot, which is larger, does not come out through this area. This way. So we have attached the fold over cord end, and now I shall take one of those jump rings and open it with the pliers and the jump ring opener this way. I will put it through my cord end here, and I will also take the lobster claw clasp and put it on the jump ring. Now I can close the jump ring. This way. And this end of my cord of the necklace is ready. Now we shall do the same steps on the other end of the necklace cord. So I'll begin with the knot. I'll put the knot again into the fold over cord end, like this. I will close the fold over cord end like this, and again I will press on the lower part of the fold over cord end to prevent the knot from slipping out, like this. And again I will take the jump ring and open it. I will put the jump ring on the fold over cord end and close it. This way. And now let's see if we can open and close the necklace. So the necklace is ready, and let's also add the pendant to the necklace. I will close the necklace again, and the pendant, the necklace with the pendant, is ready. So this is our finished necklace with pendant. So this is the finished necklace and pendant, and so I hope that you liked this video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to make a necklace using this metal pendant. I chose a pendant in the shape of a coin, of a Greek coin, antique coin. And for the necklace I will also use some black nylon cord. As you can see, this will be a short necklace around the neck. To make this necklace I will only need a few findings and some tools. I will use a bail for the pendant, and for the necklace I will use a lobster claw clasp, some jump rings, and these spring cord ends. And as tools I will use a pair of pliers, these chain nose pliers, a jump ring opener. In case that I want to open the jump rings, I can also use a second pair of pliers. And if I want to cut from the cord, I will use the scissors and a lighter. And now let's begin by measuring the length of the cord. So as I said, this will be a short cord that will just go around the neck, and I chose a piece of cord that is about 34.5 centimeters long. That would be about 13.5 inches long. If you want to make a necklace for men, you can add about 1 or 1.5 inches. That would be about 38 centimeters. And now let's start making the necklace. So I will take the pendant and the bail, and as you can see, the bail has these little teeth here, and I will put the teeth into the orifice of my pendant like this, and I will press on the bail this way so that the teeth remain inside of this hole. This way. And the pendant will look this way. Now let's see the necklace. For the necklace I will take the nylon cord and one of those spring ends, cord ends. I will burn the cord end so that it fits into the spring cord end, and I will put the nylon cord into this cord end this way. I have only pressed it into the middle of the cord end, but if I would pull on the cord end, it would come out. So to prevent the cord from coming out of the cord end, I will take the pliers and press on the end of my spring cord end here. This way. So as you can see, this end here of the spring cord end is pressing into my nylon cord. Now the other end of my spring cord end has this little ring here, and I am going to lift the ring this way so that I can attach the jump ring on this ring here. I will put the pendant on the cord like this, and now I will also attach the second cord end to my cord. This way. Now again I will press on the end of the cord, spring cord end here, this way, and I will grab with the pliers. I will grab the ring and lift this way so that the ring becomes visible like this. And now I will take a jump ring and put it on this ring. I will open the jump ring with the jump ring opener and with the pliers. I'll put the jump ring here on this ring, and I will also put the lobster claw clasp. This way. And now I have attached the lobster claw clasp to the necklace so that it can be opened and closed. And the last step will be to attach the last ring, jump ring, the second jump ring, and close. This way. And now let's see what the closing system of the necklace looks like. So I will attach the ring to the lobster claw clasp, and the necklace is now closed. Now our necklace is ready, and let's see what the finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. I hope you liked this video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to attach a piece of leather cord to a bone pendant in order to create a necklace. First of all, I will find the center of my leather cord, like this, and I will attach the leather cord. First of all, I will make a loop like this and attach it to my pendant, and now I will lift one of the a part of the leather cord, and then I will cross the other one and also lift it like this. So as you can see, the cords are crossed over here and they go up towards the upper part of my pendant. And now I will create a knot over here so that the pendant doesn't fall out. I will make a loop like this. This way, so I have a loop, and I will take the leather cord and put it through the loop and pull it out like this through this loop in order to create this loop right above my pendant. This way. So this knot over here is going to hold my pendant in place. And now let's create some sliding knots on our cord so that we can open and close the necklace so that it can be hung around the neck. So I will stretch this cord and I will take the other cord and put it over the first cord. I will make a loop like this in the length of about 4 fingers, and I will place it above the other cord. And I will start turning the end of my cord like this. So I have this loop that I have created, and I will take this end of my cord and start turning it around the longer cord and keep this end of the loop like this. So I will need this little loop here. I will grab it with my fingers and I will start turning the leather cord around the other cord like this. This way. And now I only have this end of my leather cord here, and I will put it through my loop here. And now I will pull on the cord here, and as you can see, the loop is becoming smaller like this until it grabs the end of my leather cord like this. And I have created the first sliding knot. Now I will turn the necklace around so that we can make the second sliding knot as well. I will again bend my cord like this, and I will start turning the end of my cord around the two cords like this. And now, after I have turned, let's see from a closer distance. Let's repeat. So so this is my necklace, and this is the end of my cord that comes from the other side. So I bend the cord like this. I will keep this loop here on the first cord like this. I will grab the loop with my fingers, and with the other cord I will create 2 loops. So one loop and the second loop, and I have the end of the cord here. Now I will put the end of the cord through my loop like this. So as you can see, I put the end of the cord through this loop, and I will now pull on my cord so that the knot will close like this. So when I pull on this cord, the loop is closing and it is pressing on the end of the cord, stopping it from opening. This way. And as you can see, let's see from a distance. So this is our finished necklace with the leather cord and with the sliding knots and the bone pendant. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope that you know how to create sliding knots and how to attach a bone pendant which has no orifice here for hanging. So thank you for watching. I will show you how to create a necklace using a bone pendant and beads. I will use black and white beads. For example, this is lava stone. And I'll also use some black and white wooden beads, and also beads in other shapes. As I said, this necklace will be black and white, and therefore it can be combined with any colors on the clothing. In order to make the necklace, I will use a double thread like this, and the length of the necklace itself will be about 36.5 centimeters to 37 centimeters. That would be about 14.5 inches. In order to be able to create the knots and put the beads on a needle, I will add a few more inches, 1 or 2 or maximum 3 inches of thread to my 2 threads, and this way I will have enough thread to create knots and to hold the necklace when I add the beads. So now let's talk about the findings that we shall use and the tools. First of all, let's talk about the tools. So I have here some of the tools that I will be using. For the thread, I will use a pair of scissors and a lighter. And for the metal findings, I will use a pair of chain nose pliers, a jump ring opener. I can also use, if necessary, another pair of pliers to open and to close the jump rings. And I can use, for the crimps, I can use the crimping pliers or the chain nose pliers. In order to combine all those beads and attach the pendant, I will need some findings too. And let's talk about the findings now. Let's begin with the closure of the necklace. To close the necklace and to open and close the necklace, I will use this S clasp and some jump rings. For the end of the necklace, I will use these bead ends. And some crimps. And now, let's begin making the necklace. Unlike in the case of other necklaces, with this necklace I will use two threads because I have these pointed beads, these canine shaped beads, which have two orifices, so I will use two threads for my entire necklace. I will take the two threads and I will put them through my pendant, my bone pendant. I will use the big eye beading needle. So this is the needle that we need. I will put the two threads through the needle, so I just open the needle like this, put the two threads through the needle, and I will put the needle through this orifice of the pendant, and now I will find the middle of my pendant. First of all, let's put the 4 yarns through the needle. I will take one of those crimps So let's take one of the crimps and I will put, with the needle, I will put the crimp on my needle like this. This way. And I have brought the crimp over here. And now I will find the middle of my two threads. This way. And I will press on the crimp. Now I will take the yarns and make an overhand knot above the crimp. I'll pull on each of the threads like this. And now that I have made a knot above the crimp, I will take the threads, put them on the needle, and I will take one of those beads, put it also on the needle, and I'll put it on the threads, and I bring it down here, and this way the bead covers the crimp and the knot. Now I can remove the needle. And now I will separate the thread in two threads, and I will start adding the beads on each of the two threads. So I put the thread on my needle and I will start adding beads. So I added the first two beads. Now I will put one of those white beads, a lava stone bead, a teardrop shaped lava stone bead, another white bead, two black beads, and now I will put the first tooth-shaped bead with two orifices. I will put one thread through one of the holes and the second thread through the other. Like this. And now I will continue adding the wooden beads. Again, I put the thread on my needle and I will continue adding those beads. I'll put some white beads too, a white, a black and a white bead. Like this. Again some black beads. some more black and white beads. And the rest of the black beads. Like this. So now we have finished one half of the necklace. The next step will be to add the bead end. So I will again put the threads on the needle and put the bead end on the needle too, like this. In order to block the thread and to stop the beads from sliding out from the thread, I will use one of those crimps. And I will put the crimp, but on a single thread, not on both threads. So I will put the thread through the needle, and I will put the crimp on only one of the two threads, like this. So as you can see here, I have the bead end and the crimp is here. Now I will make sure that the beads are not too close to each other, but also not too far to each other, because if they are too far from each other, the thread will be visible. If they are too compressed like this, they will look rigid. So we want them to be neither too close nor too far from each other. So we can just lift the beads, hang the beads like this, so that they order themselves one over the other. And now I will take the two threads and make a few knots, making sure that in between the two knots we will have our crimp. So I'll make one knot, another knot, a third knot, perhaps a fourth knot, and these knots, as you can see here, they hold the crimp in place, and this way our beads will not fall off the thread. Now, I will take the scissors, cut the thread, and I will burn the end of the thread. Like this. So as you can see, I burned the end of the thread that I cut. And now I can take the pliers and close the bead. The bead end. Like this. And now I will take one of those jump rings. I will take the pliers, the chain nose pliers and the jump ring opener, and I will open this jump ring. I will put the jump ring on the S clasp, and I will put it on the bead end. And now I will close the jump ring like this. And I have attached the S clasp. And as you can see, half of our necklace is ready. All we have to do is create the second half of the necklace, which must look symmetrical to the first. So I will take the other two threads, put the threads on the needle, and add the next beads in a symmetrical way. Now I have reached the pointed bead, and again I will separate the two threads, and I will put one thread through each of the holes of the bead. And now let's continue with both threads being put on the needle, because all the other beads are wooden beads. And now the beads have been added to the thread. Now I will put the bead end. Now I will put the bead on the thread. I will remove one thread. Then I will take the crimp, put the crimp on only one of the two threads. This way. Now I can remove the needle. And again, let's see from a closer distance. Again, we have the crimp on one of the threads, the bead end here, and the two threads. Now I will use the two threads to make a knot. Before that, I will lift the thread so that the beads arrange themselves alone on the thread, so that they are not too tight to each other, too compressed, nor too loose, so that they are not too rigid, nor that we can see the thread. And now I will make a few knots here, and those knots will be masked by our bead end. Now that I have made a few knots, I will cut the thread like this. I will put the two threads away. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread. Like this. I will take the pliers, close the bead end, this way, and I will put the second jump ring on the bead end. So I will open it again with the pliers and the jump ring opener and put it on the bead end here, this way. Like this. And now I will close the necklace, and let's see what the finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. We have the wooden beads, the S-clasp as a closure, the lava stone beads in the shape of a teardrop, and the bone pendant. So I hope you liked the video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to create a necklace using metal charms and pendants. I will use this metal pendant, these metal charms in the shape of feathers, and black and white beads. So these are 6mm beads. They are wooden beads. So this is the natural color of wood, and these are painted in black. To make the necklace, I will also need some thread, and I have chosen this black nylon thread. As a closure, I have chosen this ornamental closure, and in order to assemble these parts, I will need some findings. For the end of the necklace, I will use these bead ends, bead tips. I will need some crimps, and some jump rings. And beside the jump rings, the findings, in order to make a necklace, we need tools. I will talk a bit about the tools that we shall use. So, as you can see here, we have different types of pliers. The type of pliers that we use the most often with jewelry is this type of plier, which is pointed here and has no teeth here, and it is called the chain nose pliers. So these pliers are called the chain nose pliers. They are flat here without teeth so that they do not scratch the findings. Here I have another type of pliers that I might use in case I want to open and close, for example, the jump rings. Also for the jump rings, I need this jump ring opener. For the crimps, I might use either the crimping pliers or the chain nose pliers. To measure the length of the necklace, I will use the measuring tape. As you can see, it is in centimeters and in inches. And for the thread, I will need the scissors and the lighter. And in order to put the beads on the thread, I will use the big eye beading needle. So let's remove the needle from the package. And now, let's talk about the length of the necklace. For a normal necklace around the neck for a woman, I usually choose a necklace of about 36 centimeters. That would be about 14 inches. If you want to make a necklace around the neck, but for men, you can add 1.5 or 2 inches. That would be between 40 and 42 centimeters long for men. So for women, it's 36 centimeters, that is 14 inches, and for men, you can make it 40 to 42 centimeters, that would be 16 or 17 inches. Of course, whenever you create a necklace for somebody you know, you should measure exactly the length that the person prefers for the necklace. And now let's begin with creating the necklace. We shall take the thread, and as the first step, I will make a few knots. So I will make these knots at the end of my thread, so that the beads do not fall off the thread. Like this. This way. Now, as you can see, I have, let's see from a closer distance. I have this, let's move the beads and the findings away so that we can see what we are doing. Like this. We have the end of the thread here, so I can cut a little bit of this end of the thread here, and with the lighter I will burn the end of the thread, and by burning the nylon thread it will melt and stick to the knot so that the knot will be more resistant. And now let's put the thread on the needle. When you put the thread on the needle, you should remember that the needle may be a little sharp on the inside here, and it might cut a bit of the thread. So whenever you choose some thread, you should make sure that you add 3 or 3.5 inches as length to the length of the necklace that you want. So if you have a necklace of 14 inches, so the entire necklace should be not longer than 14 inches, then you can add 3 inches or 3.5 inches to the thread so that you can make the knots at the end of the thread, and also cut a bit of the thread, because as I told you, the place where the thread goes through the needle, the thread may be cut a little bit because the needle is sharp inside here. So you should be able to cut off the damaged part of the thread, the part that is damaged by the needle. And now I will take one of those crimps So I've taken 2 crimps, and I will put one of the crimps on my needle this way. And I'll bring and the crimp should stop at the point where the knot is, and here I'm going to press on the crimp this way, and as you can see, our crimp is now flat, so it will not slip over the knot, and it also blocked the thread, and it will not move up and down on the thread anymore. Now I will take one of those bead end caps and put it on our needle this way, and you will see that because of the crimp and the knot, the thread will stop like this, and it will not come out through the orifice of the bead cap. And now let's close the bead end, this bead end, with the pliers, so that the knot and the crimp are no longer visible. So this bead at the end of my necklace is masking the knot at the end of the thread. And now let's take one of those jump rings So I will take this jump ring, grab it with the pliers, with the chain nose pliers, and with the jump ring opener and the chain nose pliers, I have opened the jump ring and I will put it through my bead end. Now I will also put the closure, the clasp, inside the jump ring, and now we can close the jump ring. So I can use either the jump ring opener or the other pair of pliers to close the jump ring. And now, as you can see, the end of our necklace is finished. And now we can start putting the beads on our thread and creating the necklace. So I will begin with the white beads, and I will alternate black and white beads. So I put 3 white beads, so 3 white beads, a black bead, 3 white beads, a black bead. And I will continue until I reach the middle. I get closer to the middle of the necklace. And now I will start adding the metal pendants. I will put the small feather pendant. Now I will put a white and a black, so 2 white beads and a black bead. I will put the next feather pendant, the larger feather pendant, again a white bead, a black bead and another white bead. I'll put one more white bead, and now I have reached the middle of the pendant, and I will put the half moon ornament, the half moon pendant. I will put 2 white beads, 1 black bead, and another white bead, this way. So what we have to take into consideration is that our beads and pendants must be placed symmetrically. I'll put the second pendant, again a white, a black and a white bead, and the last pendant, the small metal pendant, like this. So we have finished the ornamental part with the pendants and with the metal charms, and we can continue adding beads by following the rule of the beads from this point to this point. So I will add 3 white beads, then a black bead, and so on. like this. And now we have finished adding the beads, and all we have to do now is close the necklace. In order to close the necklace, I will take the bead end and I will open it, because we shall have to work inside of this bead end to create the knot at the end of our bead. So I put the bead on my needle and on the thread, and I will take the second crimp, put it on the needle, bring it inside the thread. Now I will remove the needle, and as you can see, let's see from a closer distance now. Like this. As you can see, now we have the bead end on our thread and the crimp. The crimp must be made flat by using the pliers, so that it will block the beads from coming out on this thread like this. When you decide where the crimp should be placed, you must take into consideration that the beads should not be too tight together, too compressed like this, because as you can see, if they are too compressed, the necklace is too rigid and it doesn't look good. The beads will not look nice. They will look somewhat like this. So some of them go up, some of them go down, if they are too compressed. If they are too loose, as you can see, the thread is visible. So when you decide where to put the crimp, you should take into consideration that the beads should not be too tight to one another, nor too loose. So you can leave about 1 millimeter of space on the thread and then press on the crimp. This way your beads have a little bit of space to move. Now I have pressed on my crimp, and the crimp is pressing on the thread so that the beads will not come out. In order to make sure that this crimp does not move, you can also add a few knots above the crimp here at this point. So let's make a few knots here. So as you can see, the longer the thread is here, the easier it will be to create these knots. So it is always important to leave a few inches on the thread so that you can make these final knots on the thread of our necklace. So I made one knot, let's make another knot. So as you can see, I opened the bead cap so that I can make these knots here, that I have space, enough space to make the knots here. And now that I made some knots here, I will take the scissors, cut the thread, and I will burn the end of the thread this way. And now I can close the bead end. So now I've closed the bead end with the pliers. I will take the last jump ring I will open it. I will put the jump ring through the bead end like this. And I will put the now I will put the clasp and close the jump ring. This way. And now let's see what our finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. So as you can see, I put 4 beads between the pendant and the feather charm because the pendant is a bit wider here and there should be a symmetry between the ornaments. So this is the finished necklace. I hope you liked the necklace, I hope you liked the video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to make a toggle clasp necklace using a metal charm, some beads. I will use coral and turquoise beads, a metal clasp, of course, toggle clasp, and I will also need some nylon cord. I have chosen this black nylon cord for the necklace. For the cord ends I will use these spring ends and some jump rings. And the last finding that I will use is this eye pin. As tools I will use different pliers. I have a chain nose plier, a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of cutting pliers, and a pair of round nose pliers. The chain nose pliers are used for bending the wire and for opening and closing the jump rings. The cutting pliers are used for cutting the wire, whereas the round nose pliers, as you can see they are rounded here at the end, are used for creating loops, such as the loop on the eye pin. And now, I forgot to tell you, I will also use this jump ring opener for my jump rings. Now that we have talked about the tools, the findings, the beads that we need for this toggle necklace, toggle clasp necklace, let's begin making the necklace. Let's now create the necklace. I will take the nylon cord and I will take one of these cord ends and I will put the cord end like this on my nylon cord to prevent the nylon cord from coming out of my cord end. I will grab the end of this spring cord end and press on this spring end here, like this. And as you can see, the end of this spring cord end is pressing on my nylon cord. I will grab the end of this cord here, of the spring cord end, and I will lift the last ring of my spring cord end like this, so that I can attach the jump ring. Now let's take one of those jump rings and I will open the jump ring, grabbing it with the pliers and with the jump ring opener, like this. And as you can see, I have opened the jump ring. Now, I will put the cord end on this jump ring, and I will also take half of the toggle clasp and also put it on my jump ring. Let's open the jump ring a bit more. Like this. And now let's close the jump ring using the same tools. I will take another pair of pliers and grab the jump ring like this. So for opening and closing the jump rings, you can use either two pairs of pliers, like these, or a pair of pliers and a jump ring opener like this. So as you can see, one end of my necklace is ready. So this part of the toggle clasp has been attached to the cord. And now we have this other end of the clasp. Again, I will take the spring cord end and put it on the black nylon cord, as you can see, and I will press on the end of this spring cord end this way, so that the nylon cord doesn't come out anymore, since the end of this spring cord end is pressing on the nylon cord. Again, I will lift the last ring this way with the pliers, and let's attach the other end of the toggle clasp. I will open the jump ring like this. I will put the jump ring on the cord end here, and the toggle clasp too. I will grab the jump ring and close it. Like this. And I also attached the other end of the toggle clasp. And now let's see if I can close the necklace like this. So this toggle clasp will be worn in front, on the neck in front, in the front part, on the front part of the neck. And now let's add the ornaments. So our necklace with the toggle clasp is ready. Now the next step is to create the ornamentation of the necklace. So as you can see, I took an eye pin and I put my beads, 2 turquoise beads and a coral bead, on my eye pin. And now let's see how long the pin should be. So I will cut a little bit of this pin like this with the cutting pliers, like this. This way. And now I will bend this pin and I will make sure that the 2 loops will be in the same plane. So I will leave a bit, about a millimeter space between the last bead and the place where I will bend my pin, so that the last bead does not break. And now I will bend to 90 degrees my pin. As you can see, I bent the pin to 90 degrees. And now I will take the round nose pliers and start creating the loop. So I will grab the end of my pin and start rolling the pin. I will close the loop that I have created like this. And as you can see, I have a loop on both ends of my beads. And the next step will be to attach the ornament. So I will attach the feather charm, metal charm. I will open the jump ring. I will put the metal charm on my jump ring. I will also put the beads on my jump ring and I will close. And as you can see, I have created the decoration of my necklace. And now I will take the toggle clasp and I will attach the decoration to my toggle clasp. So I will take the jump ring, I will open it and I will put the jump ring on the toggle clasp this way, and I will also attach the feather pendant with the beads, and I will close my jump ring this way. And now let's see what the finished necklace looks like. Let's put the tools away. So this is the front part of my necklace. Let's see from a distance what my necklace looks like. So this will be a necklace around the neck, so it's not a long necklace, it's just around the neck, a short necklace. And this is what my necklace looks like, and this is the decoration, the pendant of the necklace. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope that you like the toggle clasp necklace. I will show you how to make a bracelet using black beads. I will also use this pyrite bead and some metal beads. We shall also need some findings. To open and to close the bracelet, I will need this clasp, lobster claw clasp, some cord ends, I will also need some jump rings and some crimps. For the beads, I will need some black cord. I will use this nylon cord. And in order to create a bracelet, I will need tools. I have here some of the tools. For the nylon cord, I will use the lighter as well as the scissors. For the jump rings, I will use the pliers, the chain nose pliers, and the jump ring opener. And for the crimps, I will use the crimping pliers. In order to put the beads on the string, on the cord, I will use a big eye beading needle. And to measure the length of the cord, of the yarn, I will use the measuring tape. So let's begin with the measuring the length of the yarn. So around my wrist, I will need about 6 inches of beads. That is about 16 centimeters. So I will need a piece of yarn that is longer than that. So I will use about 40 centimeters of yarn. That is about 15.5 inches. The first step will be to create a knot at the end of the yarn. Now I will put the yarn on the thread on the big eye beading needle like this. And I will take one of those crimps, put the crimp on the needle, as you can see, I put the crimp on the needle and I will bring the crimp until it gets to the knot and it stops at the knot. Now I will take the pliers and close the crimp. And now I will take one of those cord ends and I will make sure that my knots with my crimp are inside the cord end. And with the pliers I will press on the cord end and close the cord end. So now I have closed the cord end and it presses on my knot this way. The next step will be to take one of the jump rings and open it. In order to open the jump ring, I will grab it with the pliers and I will open it with the jump ring opener. I will put the jump ring through my cord end and I will put the lobster claw clasp on the jump ring. And now I can close the jump ring using the pliers and the jump ring opener this way. And this is the end of my bracelet. And now I will take the needle, the big eye beading needle, and put the thread on the big eye beading needle like this, and I will start adding the beads. this way. And now I will put the first metal charm. I will put the hematite bead, which will indicate the middle of the bracelet. And then I'll put the second metal charm. This way. And I can add the remaining beads. Like this. And now we need to close the bracelet. Before I close the bracelet, I would like to add the fact that the beads should not be too close to each other, but they should also not be too loose, so that they will stay on the wrist without being too compressed. Now I will again make a knot here at the end of the yarn of the thread. And now that we have a knot here, I will again take the cord end, put it on this thread here, and close, making sure that my cord end presses on the knot like this. And I'll make sure that the basis of my cord end presses on the thread, blocking the knot from sliding out. This way. And now I will cut the end of the thread. I will burn with a lighter. And I will take the jump ring, open it. Now I will put the jump ring on the cord end, like this, and I will also use an extender chain which is about 5 centimeters long, and I will now close the jump ring. This way. So as you can see, this will be the extension chain, which will allow the user, it's about 5 centimeters or 2 inches long, and this way when you wear the bracelet you can decide how long the bracelet should be. You can make it larger or you can make it smaller. And now let's see what the bracelet looks like. So this is what the bracelet looks like. And this is what a bracelet looks like if I take the bracelet off my wrist. So as you can see, with the extender chain I can decide how long the bracelet will be, and the pyrite bead marks the central part of my bracelet, and the two sides are symmetrical. So I hope you liked this video, and now you know how to make a bracelet with metal beads. I will show you how to make a bracelet. For this bracelet I will use lava stones, these black lava stones, and some metal beads. I have chosen different types of metal beads. And I will also use a toggle clasp. Besides the beads and the toggle clasp, I will also need some findings, and I have chosen for the end of my string these bead ends. I will also need some crimps, 2 crimps, and some thread. I have chosen this nylon thread, black nylon thread. Now that we have talked about the findings and the beads, let's also talk about the tools. First of all, I will need some pliers, and I've chosen these chain nose pliers, which have a pointed tip, so that I can work with small items, such as those small findings. I will also need a needle, a big eye beading needle. For the jump rings, I will need a jump ring opener, and for the thread, I will need some scissors to cut the thread, and I will also need the lighter in order to burn the end of the thread. Because it is nylon, the flame will melt the plastic, and the knots, for example, will not open anymore. So, if you're ready, let's begin with the bracelet. First of all, let's talk about the length of the thread. I will measure around my wrist, and as you can see, the length is 6 inches. Let's see also in centimeters, it's about 15.5 centimeters. Therefore, I will need a thread that is longer. So let's see, I have chosen about 37 centimeters, that is about 14 inches and a half, so that I can also make the knots and use the big eye beading needle. The first step is to make a knot at the end of my thread. I'll try to make a larger knot, because we use a bead end for the end of the cord, and as you can see, this bead end has this orifice here, and the knot inside of this bead should be large enough so that it doesn't slip out through this, I don't know if it's visible, through this orifice here. So as you can see, the orifice is large enough so that a small knot would easily slip out through this hole here. So let's make the knot. If you want to make sure that the knot does not open, you can also use a pair of pliers like this to make sure that the knot is not opening. So let's make several knots. So I think we have enough knots here. And now I will put the thread on the big eye beading needle. Like this. And I will take one of those crimps and put it on the needle. This way. So I have brought the crimp next to the knot. I will take the pliers and press on our crimp like this. So as you can see, I pressed on the crimp. The crimp stops the knot from slipping. And now I think like this it's more visible. So as you can see, the crimp blocks the knot from slipping. I will cut with the scissors the end of this thread, and I will use the lighter to burn the end of this thread like this. And now again I will put the thread into the needle, and I will take the bead cap and I'll put a bead cap on my needle like this. And as you can see, let's see from a closer distance. Now you can see that the crimp together with the knot stops the thread from slipping out of the bead cap. Now the next step will be to take the pliers, the chain nose pliers, and close the bead cap like this. I've closed the bead cap. I will take a jump ring. Now the next step is to take some jump rings. So I will take one jump ring, open it. So I will grab it with the pliers and I will open it with the jump ring opener. This way. And now I will put the jump ring through my bead end. Let's open it a bit more. Let's see if it works now. Like this. So I have put the jump ring through my bead end, and now let's put the toggle clasp. And close the jump ring. Like this. And the end of our bracelet is ready. Now the next step is the simple one. We simply put the beads on our thread. So all we have to do is take the beads and put them one by one on our thread. The only thing that we have to take into consideration is to keep the symmetry. So I will put the beads one by one. So I will put a metal bead, then a lava stone, another metal bead, another lava stone, now let's put the metal beads that will be in the middle. Now let's put the central metal bead like this. And as you can see, we have reached the middle of our bracelet. And from this point on, we simply have to take into consideration that the beads must be symmetrical. Like this. So this was the last bead. So our bracelet, the bracelet beads are ready now. And now I will put the second bead cap. Whenever we put the second bead cap, we have to take into consideration that the beads must not be too compressed, so we must leave a bit of thread so that the beads can move. They are not fixed, stuck one to each other. But they must not also not be too loose, because if they are too loose, then we will see the thread in between the beads. And now the first step will be to take the bead cap and open it, so that we can work in the middle of the bead cap. So with the second cap, it's more important to have space here, so I will try to open it as much as I can, so that I can work in the inside of the bead cap. And I will put the bead cap on my needle, like this. And I will take a crimp and also put the crimp on the needle. And now I will remove the thread from the needle and put the needle away. let's see from a closer distance, like this. So as you can see, what do we have here? We have the crimp, we have the bead cap, which is opened, and the thread. And now I will take the pliers, the chain nose pliers, and I will press on the crimp, but so that I leave a bit of space to the beads for the beads to move, so they must not be too close to each other. And I will press on the crimp. And now, as you can see, I hope that it is visible. I pressed on the crimp, and the crimp is pressing on the thread so that it blocks the movement of our bead cap. So the bead cap will stop at the point where the crimp is, because the crimp has been compressed and it presses on the thread. Now, above the crimp, I will make a few knots to make sure that the crimp does not slide and does not allow the thread to slip out. So you have to be careful. This is why I opened the bead cap, so that I can make the knots as close as possible to the crimp, so that they are masked by the bead cap. So I made one knot. Let's make sure that it's not opening, and then I will make a few more knots. So let's make one more knot. Now that we made several knots here, let's make sure that the knots are tight so that they don't open. And now I will take the scissors, cut the thread, take the lighter and burn the end of the thread like this. And now I can close the bead cap so that I cover the knot and the crimp which is inside. Let's take the pliers and close this bead end like this. And now I will take the second jump ring and open the jump ring with the pliers and with the jump ring opener like this. Let's open it a bit more, so hopefully it goes through the like this. So it went through the bead cap. I will also put the toggle clasp and close the jump ring like this. So now I've closed the toggle clasp, and let's close the bracelet and see what it looks like, our finished bracelet. this is what our finished bracelet looks like. And let's see also what it looks like on the wrist. So this is what a toggle clasp looks like, and the bracelet. So this is the finished bracelet. I hope that you liked the video and that you know how to create a bracelet with toggle clasp and metal beads. Thank you for watching, and I hope you liked the video. I will show you how to make a China bracelet using these porcelain, these China beads. I have chosen China beads with those black decorations in the shape of flowers. And I also chose some beads that are black, and they also have some flower decorations on their surface. I don't know if they are so easily visible. And I also chose this silver metal bead for the center of my bracelet. And besides the beads, I will also use this bead cap for the end of the bracelet, and some other types of bead caps for my beads. I will close the bracelet with this toggle clasp, and we shall also need some findings. So I will use for the ends of my bracelet these bead caps which mask the knots and the crimps at the end of the bracelet. Some crimps, and of course the jump rings. So if you create handmade jewelry, the jump ring will be the finding that you will use the most often. So you use jump rings for all types, almost all types of jewelry that you create. For bracelets, necklaces, anklets, most of the, even for earrings, almost all jewelry types require these jump rings. And of course we shall need some string, some thread. I chose some nylon thread, black nylon thread. And to assemble all these pieces we need the tools. As tools I will use a pair of chain nose pliers. As you can see, they have a pointed tip so that I can grab small findings, small items with the pliers. For the jump rings I will also use a jump ring opener or a second pair of pliers. I will need a big eye beading needle for the beads, to put the beads on the thread. For small items I can use a pair of pincers if I can't grab the findings with my fingers. And for the thread I will need a pair of scissors and a lighter. In order to know how long the bracelet should be, I will use the measuring tape. So I have a measuring tape here which has both centimeters and inches. So these are the tools, the findings and the beads that I will use for the bracelet. So if you're ready, let's begin. The first step is to measure the length of the bracelet. So I will put the measuring tape around my wrist to see how long the bracelet should be. As you can see, it's 6 inches long, about 16 centimeters. If you make a bracelet for men, of course you can add 1 more inch or 1.5 inches. It's always useful, if you know for whom you make the bracelet, to measure the wrist so that the dimensions are as precise as possible. So let's begin with the thread. So if I had 6 inches the length of the bracelet like this, I will add a few more inches so that I can make all the knots and put the beads on the thread. So I have cut a bit of thread which is about 12 inches long, so about 30-31 centimeters long. Of course you can cut it shorter, but I chose 12 inches so that I can have enough thread to do all the operations of knotting and of putting the beads and so on. I will take the big eye beading needle and the first step is to create a knot at the end of the thread. This knot will be masked by my bead end. As you can see, this bead cap here at the end of my bracelet has a hole here in the middle. So the knot that I create must not pass through this orifice here. So it has to be larger than this orifice, otherwise the thread will come out of the bead cap. So in this case I will make not one but several knots to make sure that the knots do not open and that they are large enough to stop the thread from coming out. Beside the knot you can also add something else, and I will show you a safe method to make sure that the thread does not come out. So you can make many knots like these so that they are large enough that they do not come out through this orifice of the bead end. Let's say this is the knot that we have created. To make sure that this end does not open, I will burn it a little bit because it's nylon. It will melt and it will stick to the knot so that the knot has less chances to open. Then I will take the thread, put it on my big eye beading needle like this. You have to take into consideration that sometimes the thread can be cut a little bit at the point where it goes through the needle, because the needle is a bit sharp inside here. So it can sometimes cut the thread a little bit. So using more thread than necessary ensures that if the thread is damaged here, you can just cut it off. And now I will take one of those crimps and put it on the needle, on the thread, and it will stop, as you can see, in my knot. So let's see from a closer distance. As you can see, I have the knot and the crimp has stopped right next to my knot. Now I will take the pliers and press on the crimp like this. As you can see, now I made the crimp flat. this way, and the crimp will prevent the thread from slipping out because we have this knot here. And now we can put the bead end cap. So I will take the needle and I will take one of those bead caps like this, and I will put the bead cap on my thread like this. And as you can see, let's see again from a closer distance. As you can see, inside here we have the knot and the crimp. Because I pressed on the crimp, it has become flat and it is larger than the orifice of my bead end, so it will not come out. So this thread will have very small chances to come out of this bead end. That means that we can now close the bead end. I will use the pliers to close the bead end like this. This way, and now as you can see, the knot and the crimp are both masked inside my bead end here. And now we should add the toggle clasp. I will take one of those jump rings. As I've told you, the jump rings are the most used type of finding in handmade jewelry. I've opened the jump ring. I will put it through the ring of my bead end like this, and now I will take the toggle clasp and also put it on my jump ring this way. And now I can close it. I will grab the jump ring with the pliers and I will close it with the jump ring opener. This way. Now let's see the result. So as you can see, I have the bead cap. Inside the bead cap I have the crimp with a knot, which are no longer visible because I closed the bead cap. Then I have the jump ring and the toggle clasp. So the end of the bracelet is finished, the closure of the bracelet. And now let's continue by adding the beads. So as you can see, the thread has the tendency to come out of the needle because the needle has this big space here like this. So now let's begin by adding the beads to the bracelet. I will put a bead cap like this at the end, so it looks like a flower, but it's a little bit longer and it's narrower here, so it creates shape of V, which looks better for the end of the bracelet. So it gives the shape of the it gives an end to our bracelet by this shape of V. So I will put first of all the bead cap for the end of my bracelet, and then I will start adding the beads. I will begin with the porcelain beads. Now I will put another cap, a smaller cap. I will put one cap and another cap. As you can see, they are placed back to back so that they can cover two different beads. This way. So as you can see, the first bead is covered by the longer bead cap and a small bead cap. I'll put two more bead caps. Another porcelain bead, two more bead caps, a porcelain bead, a bead cap, this way. And now let's put a larger bead cap because we are approaching the middle of our bracelet. I will use the larger bead cap because of the black beads, which are slightly larger than the white beads, like this. And now we have reached the middle bead, which is a metal bead, so I chose this metal bead for the center of the bracelet, this way. And from now on we must be attentive so that the bracelet is symmetrical. Again, I will put a large bead cap, the black bead, another large bead cap, like this. And now we'll follow the white china beads. And the bead caps. And the last bead cap, the longer bead cap, like this. And now we have finished adding the beads to the bracelet. All we have to do now is continue by adding the bead cap at the end, the bead end, and the toggle clasp. So in order to do this, I will open this bead end here like this so that I can work inside of the bead end. I will put the bead end on my needle like this. I'll put one of those crimps on the needle this way. And now I can remove the needle. Now the beads should not be too tight together, but also not too loose. So they should have a bit of space in between, but they should also not be too far away from each other, because otherwise the thread will be visible. So now I will close the crimp that I have here, but taking into consideration that I must leave a millimeter on the thread so that the beads can move a bit. And I will press on this crimp like this, so that it blocks the movement of the thread. And above the crimp I will make a few knots so that the crimp does not slide from the thread. This is why I opened this bead end here, so that I can make those, that I have access and can make the knots above the crimp. So as you can see, I made the first knot above the crimp to block the crimp from moving up and down on the thread. So let's make another knot. And I'll make one last knot, and then I will cut the thread. This way. Now, as you can see, I have these knots above my crimp, and I will cut the thread like this, and burn the end of the thread with the lighter. And now I can close the bead end so that our crimp and the knot is no longer visible. This way. I'll take the pliers and close. Like this. And now I will attach the toggle clasp. I will take the jump ring, open the jump ring, this way. I'll put the jump ring on the bead end, and I will also put the toggle clasp here. Like this. And now I will close the jump ring. this way, and we can now open and close the clasp like this, and let's see what the finished bracelet looks like. So this is our finished bracelet. Now let's see what it looks like on the wrist. So this is what the finished bracelet looks like on the wrist. So I hope you liked this video, and thank you for watching. I will show you how to make a bracelet using nylon cord and some beads. I will use black wooden beads and also turquoise beads. I will need a few tools. First of all, I will need a measuring tape. For the small parts, I can use, if I cannot grab the beads with my fingers, I can use some pincers. And for the cord, for the nylon cord, I will need a pair of scissors and a lighter. So I will need 2 bits of cord. As you can see, I will cut a bit of cord which is longer than the distance around my wrist, so there should be a bit of extra cord here so that I can open and close the bracelet with the sliding knot. So this cord, the first cord, is about 14 inches long. 14 inches is about 37-38 centimeters long. The second bit of nylon cord is a shorter cord that I will use in order to make the sliding knot. So this shorter bit of nylon cord will be about 5 inches long, that is about 13 centimeters long. So this nylon cord will be used for the sliding knot, and this one will be used to put the beads on. And now let's start making the bracelet. I will take the nylon cord, the longer nylon cord for the beads, and begin by making a knot at the end of my cord. This way. So I have tightened this knot, and this knot here at the end of my cord, in order to prevent it from opening, I will burn it with my lighter like this, and this way it will not open anymore. Now I will take the other end of my cord and I will also burn it to make it pointy like this. If it is pointy this way, it will go through my beads. I will take one of those turquoise beads and put the bead at the end of my cord this way. And now I will start putting my beads on the bracelet. So I'll alternate turquoise beads and black wooden beads. I will continue putting those beads. So a black bead and a turquoise bead, and I will continue putting those beads until I obtain the desired length of my bracelet. And now that I have finished adding the beads, I will put another bead at the end, turquoise bead at the end of my string, and I will make a knot like this. So I will tighten this knot this way. I will take the lighter and burn the end of my knot, melt it so that the knot doesn't open anymore, and now I have the ends of the bracelet ornated with some turquoise beads, and I will put the other beads in the middle of my bracelet, this way. I will grab the nylon cord at this point here, and I will make a knot to mark the point where the beads will stop. And I will also make another knot at the end of these beads here. This way. As you can see, I have a knot and at the end of my bracelet beads here and here, so that the beads no longer move to the left and to the right. Now I will put the beads away, the turquoise beads, and I will create the sliding knot. So let's see from a closer distance how to create a sliding knot. First of all, I will superpose the ends of my bracelet like this, and I will take the short nylon cord. I will superpose the ends of my nylon cord so that I find the middle of my nylon cord. I will put the nylon cord underneath the other two cords, and I will make a simple overhand knot like this. So I have created a simple knot here. And now I will start making the sliding knot. I will take one of those ends of my sliding knot, put it over the two cords here, then I will take the other cord, I will put it over the first cord here, and then I will put it underneath these two cords here, like this, and now I will take it out through this loop, this way, and I will close the first knot of my sliding knot. So the first loop was on the left side, and now I will put the loop on the right side. I will take the other cord, put it over this cord, put it under these two cords like this, and take it out through this loop here. This way. And I will close the second knot. And again, I will make a loop on the left side. So the loops will be made once on the right and once on the left side. I create the loop, I put this other cord over it, and take it out through this loop here. Again, I will make the loop on the right side, And now, as you can see, the cord is too short, so I will take the scissors. First of all, I will tighten this last knot. I will take the scissors and cut. And I will burn with the lighter. Now I will turn the knot, the sliding knot. I will also cut this bit of cord. And I will burn the end of the cord. And let's see if the sliding knot is moving. So as you can see, it's moving, so let's close the bracelet like this. And as you can see, this is the finished bracelet. Let's see what the bracelet looks like on the wrist. So this is the finished bracelet. This is the sliding knot here. And the bracelet with turquoise beads and black wooden beads. I will show you how to fix a broken bracelet. As you can see, this stretchy bracelet looks like this. So we have to replace the elastic string. For the replacement, I will use this stretchy elastic string and a pair of scissors. I will also need a big eye beading needle for our beads. Now, first of all, we should measure the length of our bracelet. So if we take the measuring tape, we shall see that we have about 3.5 inches on one side, so it is about 7 inches long. So the entire bracelet with the beads should be no more than 7 inches long. That would be about 18 centimeters long. That means that we need some elastic cord which is a bit longer than that. So I have cut some elastic cord that is about, let's see, 11.5 inches long. So that would be about 29 or 30 centimeters long. And now I will take the needle and put the stretchy cord, the elastic cord, through our needle. So you should be careful, because this part of the needle can sometimes be sharp and it can damage the elastic cord. And now let's remove the old elastic cord. So I'll cut the elastic string and I will remove the beads. This way. So as you can see, the elastic cord is no longer elastic, it's broken, so we have to remove it. So I'll put the old cord away, and now we have all these beads. I will take the needle with the elastic cord, with a new elastic cord, and I'll start putting the beads on our elastic cord. So I'll put all the beads on the elastic cord. We have only a few more beads, and now I remove the elastic cord, the elastic string from our needle. I'll put the needle away, and as you can see, I have these two ends of the elastic cord that come out of the beads. Whenever you string the beads, you should make sure that the beads are not too tight together, staying together, and they are not too loose either. So I will make first of all a simple knot like this, this way, and then I will make another simple knot. This way. So I made two simple knots. And now I will make another knot that will be using both ends of my elastic cord at the same time. So let's first of all tighten the first two knots, and now I will take both cords like this. I will put my finger this way and I will turn those two cords around my finger, and as you can see, I have created a loop here, and now I will put the cords through the loop that I have created with my finger like this. So I have this loop and I will take the two cords through this loop this way. So as you can see, I have created a loop like this, and I will tighten this knot next to the other two knots. This way. And now I will take each of these two separate strings and pull on them so that the knot does not open. So I took one of the strings and pulled on it. Now let's take the second elastic string and I'll pull on this elastic string as well, this way. And now we can cut the two cords with the scissors. And as you can see, our bracelet is finished. So this is how you fix a broken elastic bracelet. I hope you liked the video, and I hope that now you know how to replace the elastic string of a stretchy bracelet. I will show you how to make a bracelet using charms and porcelain beads. So these will be the china beads that I will use. So as you can see, the beads are black and white. And they are made of china, of porcelain. I will also use these beads in the shape of flowers, and also these oval beads, metal beads. For the central part of the bracelet, I will use this bead in the shape of a tube here, another metal bead, a distancing bead, spacer bead, and I will also need some charms, and I've chosen these metal charms in the shape of feathers. And now let's talk about the findings. I will use this closure for the bracelet. Of course, I will also use these white beads. I forgot to tell you about these small white beads. I will also need some crimps. And some bead caps for the end of the bracelet, and the jump rings, which are a type of finding that is used very often when you make jewelry. In order to make the bracelet, I will also need some nylon string. I've used this black nylon string. And now let's talk about the tools that I will use. So I will use this needle, which is called the big eye beading needle, in order to put the beads on this thread. And also for the thread, I will need a pair of scissors and a lighter. While for the findings, I will need tools such as the pliers. I have different types of pliers here. These are the chain nose pliers. As you can see, they are flat here, they have no teeth, to prevent them from scratching my findings, and also the jump ring opener for the jump rings. And now that we have talked about the beads, the charms, the tools and the findings, let's begin making our bracelet. The first step is to take the thread and to make some knots, 1 or 2 knots at the end of our thread. Remember that since you have these bead caps, the shape of the knot is not so relevant because it will be hidden by the bead cap. So it doesn't matter if your knot does not look very aesthetic, because it will be hidden by this bead cap and it will be invisible. So if you want, you can make even 3 knots like this to make sure that your bracelet does not open. And now that I have made the knot at the end of my cord, I will cut the end of the nylon thread, and I will use the lighter to burn the remainder of the thread, so that we have this knot exactly at the end of this piece of thread, nylon thread. Now I will put the thread through my needle, and I will take one of those crimps, and I will put the crimp on my needle like this and move it towards the end of my thread next to the knot. Now with the pliers I will press on my crimp this way, and as you can see, the crimp is exactly next to my knot. This way. Now I will take one of those bead caps and put the bead cap on my thread like this, and as you can see, the knot and the crimp are inside of my bead cap. Now all we have to do is close this bead cap this way, and as you can see, I have a beautiful bead at the end of my string. So the knot as well as the crimp are no longer visible here because they are covered by this bead cap. Now I will continue by taking one of those jump rings, and I will open the jump ring. So in order to open the jump ring, you can use either two pliers or a plier and the jump ring opener. Now, as you can see, I opened this jump ring, and I will take the bead cap and put the jump ring through the bead cap end here, and I will take the toggle clasp like this and put it on my jump ring. And now I will close the jump ring this way, and I have created the end of my bracelet like this. Now again, I will put the thread through the needle, and I will start adding the beads on the thread. And now that we have added the toggle clasp at the end, I will put the thread on my needle, and I will start adding the beads. The first step will be to add some black and white beads at the end of my bracelet. This way, and now I will start adding the porcelain bead, the metal bead, the porcelain bead, the next metal bead. Now I will put the first charm, another bead, another metal bead, the second charm, another porcelain bead. Then I will put a metal flower bead, a white bead, and now I have reached the central spacer bead, and I have created the half of the bracelet. And let's continue. I will put the other beads symmetrically, the rest of my beads symmetrically. So I put the white bead, the metal flower bead, the first ceramic bead, the feather charm, the first feather charm, another metal bead, another porcelain bead, the smaller feather charm, and the rest of my beads. And now let's close the bracelet with the white and black beads. This way. And now I have added all the beads on the bracelet, and we have to close the bracelet now. Now, in order to close the bracelet, I will begin by putting the bead cap on the thread like this. Then I will take the crimp and put the crimp on my needle too. This way. And I will remove the needle, and I will make sure that there is some space between the beads so that they are not too compressed, and I will press on my crimp. And now that we have the crimp here, above the crimp I will make a knot to make sure that the crimp doesn't slip off the thread. Now I will cut the end of the thread with the scissors. I will take the lighter and burn the end of the thread. Like this. And the next step is to close the bead cap so that the crimp is no longer visible and the knot. This way. Now I will take the jump ring and open the jump ring. So I will grab it with the pliers and open it with the jump ring opener. So I will open it a bit more. So that the toggle clasp can be put on the jump ring like this. So I have put the toggle clasp on the jump ring. Now I will put the jump ring through the bead end. And I will close the jump ring. This way. Like this. And now I have also attached the end of the toggle clasp, and the bracelet is ready. And this is what the finished bracelet looks like. And this is what a bracelet looks like on the wrist. So I hope that you like this bracelet, and I hope that you liked this video.